Welcome back to Minecraft Survival, where we are currently working on this mega base project that you can see behind me. And today we're actually going to work on the area around the mega base, and I think it would be good to have sort of a bit of a custom biome around in this area to match in with the magical theme of this area, with some trees and some flowers, and maybe a waterfall would be good in here somewhere too. Now that we have the walls in place, we can see exactly what space we have to work with and where we can put things around this building without worrying about it being in the way of where the building is going to go. And I think we can also work on a path coming down from the entrance down here and off into that direction and that direction to the two other places that we have built in this world, off into the forest. So we'll work on a path as well in this episode. Now, I do generally quite like the vanilla terrain, but I think we might need to do a tiny bit of terraforming just to get started in places like that, because we've got some slightly weird cliffs over here, and it's definitely also become a bit of a mob farm over here. It might be okay. Yep, that's... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to look at you. I didn't mean to look at you. Yeah, it's a mob farm down there, so we need to mob proof this area, sort out these weird cliffs, and yeah, just generally tidy up this area. It's just always raining in this world. I don't know if it's something about the world that I generated or what is going on, but it is just always raining. It's always raining. They're all just climbing out. They're just climbing out of this pit. I'm just trying to chop down trees. The terrain down here is just like, it doesn't make any sense. What is going on? Well, this looks cozy. How's everyone doing? I've kind of been avoiding this side of the base, and it is just so messy. There are just random bits of dirt everywhere that the Endermen have been moving. There are gaps in the floor everywhere, here and here. And yeah, just a lot of mess, a lot of trees. So I'm just trying to clear out this side a bit, I think. Even though we won't come round here very often, we're around sort of the side of the base. But I still would like this base to look good from every angle. So I don't want to neglect this side just because it's not the front and we won't come around here very often. I want to still give it all of the time and attention as the rest of the base. I kind of need to get down there to light it up, but there's so many skeletons. Oh, are the skeletons shooting the creepers? Nope, leave me alone. Shoot the creepers, that's it, shoot creepers, that's a good idea. Oh my gosh, there's so many skeletons. Ah! No, oh no. Well, we're down here now. Let's just light up as much as we can. Okay, I think I've got it lit up enough to stop things spawning down here, but I am now thinking I might just make it into a river, so the water comes in on this side, and I'm pretty sure it joins up to water over here as well. I feel like that might be quite a good idea for spawn proofing, is to turn that into kind of a little underwater canal, maybe. That's probably not a today job though. Let's we're working on the terrain. We're working on the custom biome today, not on building underwater rivers. Underwater rivers? Underground rivers. I always forget how awkward this kind of tidying up terraforming ends up being. It's sort of starting to look a bit like a normal hill, I guess. Yep, that mountain's definitely looking much better now that we've covered up that weird gaping hole in the side of it. Hopefully this side of the building should be slightly easier to tidy up. We've just got a few trees and a couple of holes in the cliff. So the areas around the base are all looking much cleaner and tidier now. And I might push the tree line out a little bit further. I'm kind of like that it turns into dark forest, but we're going to have our own custom trees actually around the building, and I'll kind of see how much space they end up taking up and how much we want to blend that into the dark oak forest trees as well here, and decide whether to push back the dark oak tree line a little bit further or if it is okay where it is. I'm not sure exactly how many custom trees I'm going to put in yet and how big they're going to be. I think I'd like to have one big custom tree on the edge here, kind of maybe hanging over here. And I'm thinking maybe that's where we have a waterfall as well. Now I want to get a path coming up to the main entrance here and coming down the hill, but there is also a slight chest monster here. So I think it's time that we move all of this stuff out of the way. We've managed to accumulate a whole bunch of junk over here. Okay, it's all clean, everything's packed up, everything is in a shulker box, which somehow I managed to fit everything into these shulker boxes. We need to move these. You little kitty cats need to move out of the way. I might put you inside. Ooh. And clearly we've got an Enderman problem, leaving blocks of dirt and grass around. If you sit there and you sit there, and I'm just going to put the shulker boxes back down in here because I do need to use the things in them, and I can't remember what's in every single shulker box. Now, with those out of the way, we can start planning out this pathway. We're going to have it coming down here and sort of winding down. I'm not sure. I also need to decide what I want to make the path out of, but I think for now, let's just sort of level off this ground a bit because we definitely don't want it to just drop straight off outside the front door. So there's a bit of a gap through the mountain here, which I think is quite cute, and I think I'd like to keep this maybe as like a little sort of hidden path down round over to this side. I think that would look good. I think we're going to have the path coming up here, and then maybe a little bit splits off into the little cave, and then the rest of it comes up here and up around like that. So yeah, I think we just need to figure out the best way to kind of level this off a bit so it's not quite as steep as this. Okay, so I think that's kind of the right shape. It sort of curves around this way and then around and around again. I've run out of dirt, but I think the shape is right, so I think we'll just start building it out of the actual material we're going to use. And I'd like to use deep slate as well, I think, to match in with the rest of the build, but I think I am out of deep slate, so we might need to go and do a quick little bit of mining. Let's see, do I have any deep slate in these various chests? I've got some regular deep slate. I do have a bunch of smooth basalt. I might use some of that, but I do need stairs and slabs, so I can't use too much of it. Okay, so we have not very much deep slate at all. Okay, so I think I need to go and do a bit of quick mining just to get some deep slate, and then we will get this pathway built. I like how this is going so far. It definitely needs texture and slabs and supports underneath, and I think maybe some towers kind of to go like either side, sort of as like gateways. Let's take a look down here. This will be the main entrance. As you're approaching, this is going to be the view that you see as you're approaching, and I think sight line wise this is a really good view. I like how this is coming up and how this bit of dirt is going to be kind of hiding the view a little bit initially. So we'll be coming through the forest from over here. Yes, so we'll kind of come out through the forest and be like towers, castle, get a bit hidden by this as we come up, and then yes, amazing, huge castle as we come up. And then as we come round to this point, we'll come up and we can kind of start to see other parts, and the main entrance comes into view as we get to here. What I want to do is kind of plan out where maybe the towers are going to go so that we can get a good idea of how the sight lines are going to look as well as we come up, because I feel like they could end up looking like they're just in a straight line really easily, and I don't want that. So this is the main entrance part. I'm thinking we have probably here, maybe here. We have some towers. I'm going to just block all of this out with dirt so that we can get a good idea of what it will look like before we commit. Okay, so a quick wireframe for where I might put the towers there and then down here. And also I've got a bit of a plan for a support underneath the bridge or the path on this side, and also there'll be one just there where it's sort of in the middle of the bits that are off the ground and kind of not supported by the dirt. Yeah, so from up on this tree it looks slightly, you can kind of see a bit better. So there'll be a couple of towers here, here and here. We'll have a support under the bridge there and over there, and it's kind of winding around where the natural hills and kind of peaks are. I'm going to leave this one here, and I think I'll kind of end up making these supports under the bridge similar to how we do the bridge supports eventually when we get to the bridge detailing, but I think we'll kind of try and keep a similar sort of, that's why I wanted to make this path out of deep slate as well. I want to kind of keep everything sort of similar palette and a similar style in this area. And then we also do have this other little path through the mountain here, that little tunnel through. We'll have the path I think is going to split off here and just head on over there, and I think I might actually just make this path blocks because it's going to just be not really a main path, just kind of like a little extra path. This is more of just a natural outdoor garden path, I guess. So we'll leave that like this. I'll put a couple slabs down just to make it slightly tidier, I think. Polished basalt has a really nice tower kind of pillar look to it. So I think I'm going to make the towers out of this polished basalt, and then it's also just slightly different from all of the deep slate that we've got going on, because there is an awful lot of deep slate going on in this base, and I do really want these towers to be very tall and thin, and so we're just going to go with like a 2x2, 3x3, I guess. And then we will just top it off with a tiny little roof. Yep, I really like these towers. I added some extra thickness at the bottom, and I added some detail around the wooden parts around the top, and yeah, I think they look really good. I'm really happy with how these turned out. They're not too thick. They are like the perfect height, the perfect thickness. I think they just really add to this pathway up. And as we walk up, we're kind of passing in between these great big towers, but actually they're quite small in comparison to the rest of the build. So yeah, I really like how these look and how they're kind of framing the front of the build like this. And as we're approaching from flying, yeah, they definitely look really good. I am very happy with how they have turned out. So I think I'm just going to use a mixture of cobbled deep slate and the deep slate stone brick, because we've got slabs of those as well. Yeah, something like this I think looks good. So now we just have to continue that all the way down the path. So I decided about halfway down that actually that texture did not look good, because this is like a main path up. This is the main entrance, the main path, and it was a bit just messy. So I switched it out. I've changed it to have just the deep slate bricks along the edges, and I've also added some railings all the way up, and we have just about run out of deep slate. So I have stopped. I haven't quite finished at the end, but we've got rails all the way up, and we've got deep slate bricks along the side. I'm going to just grab some lanterns, I think, to go along the railings. Oh, and it's raining again. Of course it's raining again. So I'm thinking maybe not all of them, but like every other of these little walls we have a lantern. I'd like it to be quite lit up. I don't want it to be too dark, because obviously this, like I said, this is the main entrance up to the castle. So I think having lanterns like this as we come up, yeah, I like that. I like that. And maybe we will, maybe we can hang some from those fence posts up there as well. I think that might look quite good. Now for the supports, I think I'm going to use these slightly darker variations of deep slate. They're not much darker, but I think they're just like a little bit darker. The chiseled and the deep slate tiles, they're just a little bit darker, so that the fact that they're underneath, I think, makes sense for them to be a slightly different colour. Very, very slightly different colour. Something like this. Does that look... It's difficult because it's on a slope as well, so this side is much higher. And a curve. It's on a slope and a curve. Ugh. Something like that. Okay, that feels a bit better. It's definitely not going to be as symmetrical, but it needs to look like it's kind of supporting the curve, and I think that looks okay. I think I'm going to shift this middle pillar over a little bit, and I think that will look more of a center support than this. This was like the middle of the curve, but actually in terms of how it looks like gravity is supporting it, I think it needs to be further over than this. This definitely looks like it's actually supported now and isn't just floating off the ground. We've got some big chunky supports under there. Now we have to do this side, which is much bigger, and I feel like this is going to be much more of a pain to get right. And there we have some supports on this side as well. It's a little bit difficult to kind of get a good angle on how it looks, actually. Yeah, this is quite a good view from here. You can kind of see both of the bits of the supports under the bridges, under the path. Definitely doesn't look like it's defying gravity anymore. It feels like the grand entrance that I want it to feel like, with all of the lanterns and the towers and these big arched supports underneath. So I think I'm going to put a tree or something on this bit of dirt as well, just to kind of block that view even more, so that when you come up through here, it really is... Yeah, if we put a tree on top of there, it will hide all of this. So your kind of approach is like a little bit of a tower and this path up, and then as we come through here, it will be suddenly revealed this huge castle, and I think that is going to look awesome once it is finished. Currently this path also just sort of ends, and what we do need to do is connect this up to the other two bases and the other two places that we have built in this world. So I think it would make sense to just continue to work on paths and figure out how we're going to join all of this up. I'm not going to continue the deep slate, because that's for this area. I think we're going to have the deep slate starting here, and I will need to figure out a good way to transition this pathway from one path to the other. But I think for the majority of the distance between here and the other bases, we'll just use path blocks, because it is quite a long way. I can see the top of the tower and the swamp base, which means we probably want to branch this path off at this point, because we're going to have one that goes to the swamp and one that goes to the villager trading outpost. So and here is our swamp path. We're joined up We're joined up to the swamp. There we go. This definitely needs some terraforming. Back to the crossroads. There it is in the distance. There's our villager trading hall just coming into render distance. And it's raining again, of course. So we are going to get a bridge in here eventually. But for now, I am just going to make a dirt path over just so that we can connect up these paths. And now we finally have a pathway that connects up all 3 of the areas that we have built in this world, in the overworld, as well as the nether hub that we have to get around quicker. Follow the path back to the base we're currently working on. I'm almost back, and I just got to this part of the path, and as we come through these trees, you get a little sneak peek of the top of the castle, which that looks so good. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then literally like a few blocks later, it vanishes as we go back into the trees. That is so good. I didn't plan that at all. This is just the way the path went, but I'm really happy with how that worked out. Catching little glimpses through the trees as we are approaching, but nothing full view. Oh, and then we get a little bit here as we start to almost get close. And then this, I think I'm going to turn this into like a proper cobble deep slate staircase, but we're going to have a tree here, so this will be this gap will be obstructed. So you'll come up here, and it will just be the posts, the pillars that you see here, and then into the castle, and we finally get a view of the whole castle. Well, this entrance pathway has taken way longer than I thought it would. I was hoping to get to all of the surrounding areas in this episode, but we ended up just spending a lot of time on this entrance path bridge thing that we've got going on here, and I am really happy with how it turned out. So I'm kind of not too upset that I got sidetracked with this and didn't get the rest of the biome around done, but we will definitely work on that in the next episode. This is the biggest project that I have ever worked on, so I keep kind of underestimating how long things are gonna take to complete in this world. I hope that this has been an interesting process to watch me figure out how I want this path to look. None of this was planned out beforehand. I've just been kind of making this up as I go, and I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out, so that's good. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!